Okay, today we're going to look at area formulas. Some of this you've seen before. Okay, so for example, the area of a parallelogram, you may already know, it's just going to be base times height. The only trick is maybe to look for the right angle so that you know which numbers you want to use. You're not going to want to use the slant heights, for example. Okay. Area of a triangle, you may also already know, it's base times height divided by 2. Some people also will write it as a half times base times height, so whichever one you like, doesn't matter, you still get the same answer. If it's a right triangle, it's pretty obvious where you're basing your height at, you're just looking for that right angle. If it's an acute triangle, they'll probably drop the height down inside for you, but again, look for the right angle, and that's going to tell you your base versus your height. If it's an obtuse triangle, they're going to drop the height down on the outside for you usually, but again, just look for that right angle, and that'll tell you your base and your height. For the trapezoid, it's a little more complex equation, but basically your height and your two bases are going to be perpendicular. Okay, so again, look for that right angle. That's going to tell you the height. It's going to be perpendicular with the two that are parallel. That's your base 1 and base 2. If it's tipped on its side, look for the right angle. Base 1 and base 2 are the ones that are parallel. Height is going to be perpendicular to those. Usually you're going to see your trapezoid drawn like this. You've got your height on the inside, there's your right angle, and then you have your base 1 and your base 2. Okay, so let's find the area. So the first thing we have to do is identify what shape it is. Well, it's a parallelogram, and the area of a parallelogram is base times height. So my base is 3, my height is 6, so I just go ahead and multiply them, 18, and then that's inches, so it's going to be inches squared. Okay, pretty straightforward. This one's a triangle, so we're going to take the base times the height, and we're going to divide it by 2. So my base is 8, my height is 7, and I'm going to divide that by 2. 7 times 8 is 56. Divide that by 2, and my area is going to be 28 centimeters squared. Okay, again, pretty straightforward. The trapezoid, okay, so our formula, height times the sum of the bases, and we're going to divide that by 2. Okay, so again, look for the right angle. All right, it's right there. Here's your parallels. Those are going to be your B1, B2. So 8 is my height. So if I go here, my height, I don't even need to do that, sorry. One more, sorry. Okay, so my height is 8. My B1 and B2 are 5 and 10. And then I'm going to divide the whole thing by 2. Okay, order of operations, you could do the 8 and then do the 5 plus the 10, divided by 2, so 8 times 15. Okay, if you don't know it, we can just multiply it out on paper. It's 120. Divide by 2 is going to get me 60, and then we have feet squared as our label. Okay, all right, here's where it gets a little tricky. We have the area of a trapezoid. Okay, I'm just going to move this up a little bit. The area of a trapezoid is 1,500 millimeters squared. One of the bases is 90 millimeters long. The height is 20 millimeters. What's the length of the other base? Okay, it might help to visualize it. Maybe you want to draw a picture of it. Okay, we know the area is 1,500. We know one of the bases is 90. And we know the height is 20. And we want to know the other base. Okay, so we're going to use that formula. All right, so we have area equals the height times the sum of the bases, all divided by 2. All right, we know A is 1,500. We know H is 20. We know one of the bases is 90. We don't know the other, I'm just going to call it X. And we're going to divide that whole thing by 2. You can call it B2 or B1, that's fine. I just picked a variable. Okay, so order of operations, these can't be simplified, but we could distribute. So 1,500 equals 2 times 9 is 18, so then 1,800 plus 20x, and we're gonna divide that all by 2. All right, so let's multiply by 2 to get rid of that fraction. So 3,000 equals 1,800 plus 20x. Get our like terms together. So 1,200 equals 20x. Divide by 20, and x would equal 60 millimeters. Okay? And we can always test it too. We can put that back in here, put the ones we know back in here, and just make sure it equals 1,500. Okay? All right, here we have the area of a triangle is 40 centimeters squared. There we go. The area of a triangle is 40 centimeters squared. The height is 10 centimeters. What's the length of the base? Okay, if you want to draw a picture, you can draw a picture. Otherwise, you can go right to the formula. Base times height divided by 2. All right, we know the area is 40. We know the height is 10. And we want to figure out what the length of the base is. Okay? So we can multiply by 2 to get rid of that fraction. So we have 80 equals b times 10, or just 10b. Divide by 10, and that's going to get us our b of 8 centimeters. Okay? And one more. All right, here we have a parallelogram. All right, it says the area of a parallelogram is 30 inches squared. The base is 6 inches. What's the height? So we need our formula for a parallelogram. We know the area is 30. We know the base is 6. And we want to know the height. So just solve it for h, divide by 6, and h is going to equal 5 inches. Okay, and we're done.